Good morning, everyone. You're listening to Turtle Island News live with Tracey Kennedy, of course, me, hostess for today. I have to welcome Revolution Radio, Studio A, TurtleIslandNews.info, good morning, and the Awake Radio Group, morning, everybody, and whoever else is piggybacking us today. So the news. It sucks in a very broad spectrum, multi-leveled way. I'm going to get to the point today. We're going to have to go on a little trip to do it. But this is about the AI that I've warned you about for quite a while now. This is officially the rise of the machines. An executive order from the National Strategic Computing Initiative was signed into effect and has been working since 7/29/2015. These executive orders create a National Strategic Computing Initiative. This is in the middle of Jade Helm. This is as Windows 10 has already been rolled out, and Cortana, who I told you about, who is the AI that whether you turn her on or not, runs your computer if you use Windows 10. This is all the facial recognition things I've told you about. This is the brain initiative that I've told you about. This is the Facebook AI research, and all of the global interactive media is this. And Facebook has been found to be doing this. It is not speculation. They were caught. People went back to sleep. This is the global neural net that I told you about, Ex Deus Machina. Google is an AI. And you can be assured the Google's version of artificial intelligence, it's using generations ahead of what it's letting the public know. And that's already established. It presents an ominous landscape, and its self-perception, its proclaimed purpose, its behavioral deception, its aspects. It is now learned programming. And the concept of humanity being managed and enslaved by an elite, technocratic society is no longer science fiction. Has not been for quite some time. The network-centric global artificial AI system for human command and control is here. The Geospatial Intelligence Program has been collecting information on every human being at an increasingly exponential rate for the past decade. But as we've said before, this started at the Manhattan Project. This was the real reason for the Manhattan Project, not just a little bomb. Now, GeoINT is a tool for the proponents of global governance to cast a neural net over humanity. This program provides a solution to a conundrum they are facing. about getting the global population to accept microchipping or RFID, and I'm telling you, it is no longer necessary. We have spoken before about a technology that so surpasses RFID in that microchips can be removed, disabled. How do you remove all of the components, all of the elements, all of the behaviors, all of the relationships and emotions and tools that you will need in everyday life, which define, from at least an analytical standpoint, who you really are? Drones. And in 2012, a Swiss architecture firm and a roboticist collaborated with ETH Zurich to program a fleet of drones to lift and stack 1,000 of polycistern blocks at the FRAC Center in Orleans, France. Now, the project was called Flight Assimilated Architecture. For the first time, flying machines built a different structure made out of 1,500 elements, resulted in a 6-meter tall tower. They cooperated, they worked together. Now, Google. It patents something called Autonomous 3. We've talked about this before. Now, vehicles as well. Google has granted the rights to a user interface for its autonomous vehicle technology. And if you are expecting a future look, you'll be disappointed. Google stayed very much with the look and feel of today's dash layout. Minor additions of information displays. I've imagined myself several times getting into a self-driving car, which we are seeing in all the television shows right now, to varying degrees. But if you go back to the Sandra Bullock police vehicle in, do you remember Demolition Man? Well, today, we are so close. We are somewhere between imagination and reality in all aspects, and know that the actual interface of these vehicles resemble the appearance of a 1990s car, for a reason, of course, much more than any design of a science fiction flick. Various other audible and visual indicators are going to be deployed. There is a widespread movement right now. These things and the executive orders, which you can see and you can sit down and read them, although we've talked about these things before. Again, turtleislandnews.info, they are there for you to read. Why this is important? Well, several reasons. Because this is signed into order right smack in the middle of J2, which is an AI warfare system operating during the Jade Helm exercise. It's not a coincidence, these horrific events going on worldwide. The test run of the system rollout here in this exercise has shown them what they're going to need to take us, and it's working. It's absolutely working. When we have a man, 3 names of course, Fester Lee Flanagan, who looks straight in the eye of a camera, does a shooting but you can see him hesitate like he's fighting with himself. There is a rollout here. People are being triggered. All I can say, and I've said it before, this year is a mass amount of events. People are being triggered. I noticed some things happening last night in the little nerdy video game I play. We have a choice now. And that will mean I'm going to be stepping away from the news and the television. Don't worry, I'll have lots to talk about. In all things programmable, because everything is programming us right now. Everything is part of this program. And I told you before, until we get to the end of this year, it's not safe. MK Ultra isn't a couple of guys. It is everyone worldwide. It has been for quite some time. The brain mapping that I've told you about, and this brain initiative that I've warned you about, so many nefarious areas here. But is this method of control the evolution of humanity, the de-evolution of humanity? And from what I was saying on Sunday, while I was visiting with Patty Walking Turtle, they are done with us. They, the big they. Absolutely. And they're rolling out the AI right now. MK Ultra, we're all a part of that now. Television was always about this. They can remotely interface with your brain. I've told you that. Neural monitoring, absolutely true. We are way beyond Human 2.0. Know that Human 2.0 does not need you. The machine has already risen. Now consider the stock market crash a couple days ago. It does not surprise me that the goddess of money, Moneta, should be worshipped in Moneta, Virginia. Yesterday, Juno Moneta, like Juno, was a protectress of money. As such, money in ancient Rome was coined in her temple alone. The word moneta is where one gets the word money, monetize, used by writers such as Ovid, Martial, Juvenal, Cicero, in several modern languages, including Russian and Italian and moneta, Spanish. Moneda is the word for coin. So if you wonder where the languages come from, there absolutely is a common source for the modern languages, and it is absolutely devastating. It does not come from any beauty. It comes specifically from a computer programming language. It is all the ones and the zeros, the yes and the no, the bits and the byte, the up and the down, the on and the off. As with the goddess Moneta, Juno Moneta's name is derived from Latin monere, since as a protectress of funds she warned of instability, or more likely from the Greek moneres, meaning alone or unique. Then we have the Kelly file. 2 television news journalists shot, killed, live on air. Moneta, Virginia. The Virgin Money Goddess, because that's an accident. gets worse. Think these things aren't programmed? Ward and Parker. Superhero names. More. 2 reporters for Channel 7. 2 plus 7, 9. One aged 27, which is 9. One aged 24, which is 6. On a day that equals 888. A location, Bridgewater, that tells me major quake is about to happen, to where a certain bridge will be in the water. Somehow I think this is also connected to what I said a couple days ago about the guy in Idaho and his 2 dogs being scalded by hot springs. This is 6th seal stuff. So with the shock of the stock market, which is being called a slipstream, slip drive, time slip, got me thinking about tectonic plates slipping, shaking. Then it occurred to me that maybe this is the shaking. Something to do with the Shemitah cycle? Isn't there something about shaking in Revelations? The aftershocks of this, of course. We have to wait and see. But this is definitely, and I'm calling it, hoaxalicious. Bringing on the new money system. First they will break that shista up, and then they will pull this out. And people are being triggered, of course, to be what they're supposed to be during these times. The day has come. Craftsmen must know and apply their knowledge. The lost key to their grade is the mastery of emotion, which places the energy of the universe at your disposal. Man can only expect to be entrusted with the great power by providing his ability to use it constructively, selflessly. When the Mason learns that the key to the warrior on the block is the proper application of the dynamo of living power, he has learned the mystery of his craft. The seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands, and before he may step onward and upward, he must prove his ability to properly apply that energy. He must follow in the footsteps of his forefather, Tubal Cain, who, with the mighty strength of war, this god, hammered his sword into a plowshare. This is from Manly P. Hall. This is where we are right now. Think I'm kidding? Do not turn on the television or the news. This is deals being made, deal or no deal. So what is a deal? Let's look at that. D and L. It is to distribute cards in an orderly rotation to players for a game or round. Take part in commercial trading of a particular commodity. An agreement entered into by 2 or more parties for the mutual benefit, especially in a business or political context. A significant but unspecified amount of something. Donald Trump says America is getting bad deals thanks to incompetent leaders. Trump promises better deals if he is president. November 1st, 1987, the Day of the Dead. Donald Trump released his #1 book, The Art of the Deal. Art of the Deal is 888 in Gematria. 888, the number of Christ. August 31st, 2015, Time magazine will release an issue with Donald Trump's picture on the cover with the quote, "Deal with it." Interesting. Deal with it is 666 in Gematria. 666 is the number of man. It is also interesting that the release date, October 31st, is the anniversary of Princess Diana's death. Recently, newspapers have revealed that Donald Trump made an attempt to date Princess Diana after her divorce with Prince Charles. And something may not have anything to do with it, but go to Google. Go to their search and type in Princess Diana deal with it. See how many hits you get. Apparently Diana was always told to deal with it as well. Maybe nothing. Diana makes a deal. Trump makes a deal. You know, sometimes news headlines are popping. Same things over and over again being shown to us. It's not an accident. Jade, too, is in control of all of this, and two names, again, that are highlighted in August: Trump, Ashley, Madison. The Donald, 232 or 322. Life is short, have an affair, 232, 322. August images for Trump and Ashley Madison, sinking as well. It is shown in the news that Alabama has most members on this Ashley Madison. Same time, news showed Trump speaking to 30,000 in Alabama. Alabama is being triggered, my friends. Badly. And then we go back to the mega ritual coming soon. Pope Francis. Washington, D.C. is positioned between two states, Virginia and Maryland. Mary. Washington, D.C. is symbolically the Virgin Mary. A cosmic doorway, a place where heaven and the earth unite. When Pope Francis enters Washington, D.C. on September 22nd, the fall equinox, he will be symbolically entering the dark womb of the cosmic mother during the fall. The Son of God begins its descent into the underworld September 22nd. Virgin, yeah. Mary land. Come on now. Oh my God. So this is what's happening right here. And the Pope, again, this mega ritual, I know I've said it before, but I'm going to just go over it again because you're going to be hearing a lot of crap in the next little while, and I want you to stay grounded here. Stay grounded. It's also the dome and the obelisk. So again, arriving in Washington, D.C., September 22nd, the fall equinox. Francis will feel right at home there. Vatican and Washington, D.C. look very similar. I mean it. Both utilize the sacred alignment connected between and created between the dome and the obelisk. Domes are female, obelisks are male. Obviously, you know what that means. Now, when paired, domes and obelisks represent and they join heaven and earth. At these magical temple complexes, the gods and men commune together. So Washington, D.C. and Krishna's birthplace are both on the 77th parallel, respectively. So Christian Vatican was originally a temple built to Shiva. The one at the Vatican borrowed, in a way that colonists do, so stole, historical, from Egypt, solar deity worshippers, but not exactly. The largest in the world, cut from a piece of granite that was an unfinished obelisk at Aswan, cracked, left. This is a mega ritual. Our energies are being focused on it. The Pope is a Jesuit. The Jesuits have used everything, rewrote the Bible, rewrote almost everything that we call ancient now. The first time in human history where human beings actually had an effect on planet Earth. The first time. Rome, because of its war-making machines. Rome was the start of this. Even all the stories that Europeans were always slaves. That black people were always slaves, which is ridiculous. Because they've made the majority of the world worship African deities. And of course they'll say, well, it's North Africans, Tracey. I guess that's not quite as black. No, boys and girls. And even the things that you call Sumerian as a cradle of civilization, it's, well, brought to you by the letters B and S and the numbers 33, quite literally. This is another trump card. It is a lie. The only place on this planet that uses words like Anu, Inanna, is South Africa. Very black, very dark. Weren't ever white people. Not that it matters color-wise. Brothers are brothers. Sisters are sisters. But we are being triggered to believe something that should really piss you off. It should really piss you off. That we are going to go into it deeply. Tubal-Cain is Vulcan. So, let's continue. Rudy Giuliani in drag and prima donna Donald Trump acting out as a paramour is no comedy routine here, but a very serious secret society ritual of public humiliation that must be played out before your eyes, where subordinate members or initiates engage in playful transsexual activities, while certain male blood elitist members of the group must be with them, must be in front of people's faces. Satanic cross-dressing. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani is a tough, no-nonsense conservative, regular guest on Fox News. He was the city mayor during the 9/11 Twin Towers, the Building 7 collapse. Giuliani said in 2001 that he had been forewarned that the Twin Towers would implode on the morning of 9/11. He said it. Now, according to an interview that he did with Peter Jennings of ABC News, 1 p.m., September 11th, 2001, Giuliani said that he had been told by officials in his own Office of Emergency Management that the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center were in danger of imminent collapse. Giuliani told Jennings this, word for word: "We are operating out of there." Now there is 75 Barclay Street, where they had set up a temporary headquarters. "When we heard that the World Trade Center was going to collapse," because they had already moved. Now this is his words, of course. "And it did collapse before we were able to get out of the building, so we were trapped in the building for 15 minutes. Finally found an exit and got out." Now in chapter 22 of his book 9/11 Contradictions, David Ray Griffin chronicles a number of major fires that were much worse than the ones that occurred in the World Trade Center that day, that did not lead to a collapse. He also quotes a number of key officials on the scene on 9/11 who stated that they had no idea there were any chances of a building collapsing. There was even confirmed by the 9/11 Commission, which stated in its report that none of the fire chiefs present that day believed that the complete collapse of either tower was impossible. Even the report on the collapses by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, which reports the official story, states that the collapse was completely unexpected. So, if that's true, why didn't he warn the firefighters who were climbing the two towers to get people out? Because Giuliani wasn't supposed to tell anyone. He was essential, and an essential secret blood oath member of the ultra secret operating unit of the Vulcan cult. And you can go to Wikipedia and look up the Vulcans. Interesting. And part of the seething energies of Lucifer. And this is the year of light, Anu Lucius. The seething energies of this light that brought the Twin Towers and Building 7 down on 9/11. Total of 343 firefighters died that day. 23 police officers that had also not been warned of the building's implosion. As a result of that successful operation, Giuliani had been initiated into the higher orders of the secret group, like the age of the new centurions. The real Illuminati, the Bunga Bunga orgy initiate rites that I've told you about, the real cross-dressing and sodomy, booty popping like the old centurions of ancient Rome, takes place in total blood secrecy, tighter than like in the Eyes Wide Shut thing. They got somebody killed for it. Now, corporate mass media is just not truthful to the public. And you should be getting it now, because Donald doesn't care about the truth. He's being rolled out. And I've seen people who have gone from intelligent, people who you can actually have a conversation with, to become idiots in under 2 weeks. It is Jade Helm. This is what's being rolled out. And again, Vester Flanagan, you could see in his face that he was trying to fight it. Pull yourself away. You never know how strong you're going to be. Why take that chance? Now, what they are not telling us is a whole bunch about Donald Trump. Investigative journalism has dropped the ball, and I think it's because they are so mind-controlled. It will not lift the veil off of Trump to expose the true nature and background of this man. The masses are confused as to how and why this narcissist, this racist, this arrogant, vindictive individual leads the Republican Party candidates as a nominee for President of the United States. Maybe you just like failed TV personalities, you guys. Rapists. Maybe you like that. Is that what you like? Now, Adolf Hitler talked about these new centurions, the likes of Donald Trump. There will reign a new and exalted nobility, of whom I cannot speak. It's from Hitler. But all of these plans, the militant members, will know nothing. The new man is living amongst us now. He is here. Isn't that enough for you? I will tell you a secret. I have seen the new man. He is intrepid and cruel, and I was afraid of him. Donald Trump is nothing less than a sideshow. A counterfeit medieval medicine man offering a cheap miracle and illusionary fixes for American problems here and abroad. He's placating to the frightened white people myth. And white people are acting really frightened. Apparently there are not any white people I know. But you can hear it. You can go into just about any kind of radio show now and people are patting themselves on the back and saying, look, it's the great white hope. It's kind of like waiting for a white heavyweight champion. Now, Two Dog mentioned to me, but, we had one. He was Italian. He doesn't count. But anyway. He is a dangerous white supremacist, sexist, illegitimate child. I almost said a bad word. You know which one. A primo uno, a primo don, an American psycho. He truly believes that his shit can never stink. I call him primo don. So Donald Trump and the sleazy Fred Trump from Germany. Okay, so Donald Trump's is really Donald Trump. And his real name reveals some of his true secrets. Trump appears not even to be his family's legal name. Historically, the surname DRMPF doesn't appear to mean anything significant. However, the name appears loosely associated with a dead person, so a dead issue. So Trump's grandfather, also known as Sleazy Freddy, Friedrich Trump. Basically, Trump family is predominantly German ancestry. His grandparents, Freddie Trump and Elizabeth Christ, were from Kallstadt, Germany. Fred Trump immigrated 1885 to the United States from Hamburg, board a ship, Eder, Eider, and became a U.S. citizen 1892, Seattle, Washington. From Seattle, Freddie traveled to Whitehorse, Alaska to seek his fortune from the Klondike, the gold rush. 1896, 1899, Sleazy Freddie. In the Pacific Northwest, Fred ran the Sleazy, an incredibly outrageous illegal operation, the White Horse Restaurant and Inn, and the New Arctic Restaurant and Hotel in Bennett, British Columbia. You know where I'm going from this, guys. He was in BC. Granddaddy. Now his business interests catered to depravity and shared space with opium dens, brothels. There were rumors that the authorities were already, or at least getting ready to crack down on these types of dens of prostitution and drug dealing and places of ill repute because they were not getting a cut. Now they say that Fred was always one step ahead of the law. So around May 1901, Sleazy Freddie cashed out, headed back to Germany with all his money. Reportedly, Fred returned to Karlstadt, Germany, married his former neighbor, Elizabeth Christ. So they said. However, it appears that Elizabeth, who was born 10/10/1880, was really the daughter of Christ, believe it or not, and Anna Marie Rathon. Christ was Freddie's uncle, his father's brother. So Sleazy Freddie married his own niece. The marriage between uncle and niece is a I'll move on. In some societies, they have a word for this called vanculate. A vanculate marriage prohibited as a form of incest, while in others perfectly legal, even common. Most of the United States, sexual activities between an uncle and a niece is penalized as incest, especially when there's a big age gap and it is rape. She may or may have not been pregnant, but I'm jumping ahead. But meanwhile, Fred changed his name to Trump. Was Fred Trump running from the law? A trump is a playing card that is elevated above its normal rank in a trick-taking game. In other contexts, the term trump can refer to any sort of action, authority, or policy which automatically prevails over all others. Then again, trump may be a variation of trump, blow your own horn, like trumpet. It is an early English medieval surname, derived from the pre-8th century Old French trompier. Anyway, Frederick Eider's ship registered listed him as Trump, like Donald Trump, but an S in the back. But whatever it may be, because we know they change names a lot, Trump or Drumpf. Either name appears to have historical significance. Neither name. Any kind of coat of arms in any kind of Germanic or European history. In America, Sleazy Freddie had to play a trump card to hide his past and to shroud his true background. So let's get into Donald Trump's Jewish ancestry. Oh yes, I found it. Donald's great-great-grandparents. Now, of course, when I say Jewish, it's European Jewish, the people that the United States and England consorted with to give to them lands that don't belong to them, because they are not genetically linked to any of these people. Anyway, that kind of Jewish. The money Jewish. Okay, so Donald's great-grandparents, Christian Johannes Drumpf and Karina Kober, had sons, Christian and Christ. They were not very imaginative people. Now, Christian was Sleazy Freddy's dad. By his name, Christ, had converted to Judaism, but still put enough Christ in that so you might ignore the fact that he is Jewish. Now, nevertheless, Donald's great-grandmother, Katerina, looks like she was Jewish before. What we know about this surname, Kober, is German and Jewish. Now, Ashkenazi, of course, from a derivative name of Jacob, or Yaakov, which may be the origin of the word Jacob, because there's no J on the planet at that time. No Jacob in Africa. No Jacob. No Jah. There's Jah, Yaakov, but no Yaakov. This is again Northern European. Now, German and Jewish Ashkenazi, probably a bit of Turk, from the German Kober, which means basket, Middle High German Kober, hence an occupational name for a basket weaver or basket maker, perhaps a nickname for someone who carried a basket on his back. The Karlsteg, Rhineland area, where they lived in Germany, comprised the Jewish communities of Mainz, Speyer, and Worms, had become a center of Jewish life in medieval times. And some of the pictures I showed you about of Jewish temples, beside Christian temples, beside Muslim temples, and ones that had the same symbols on. Now, I'll show you pictures. They're just as ugly as he is. The girls are pretty, the guys are like, and they all have that bad hair. Now, Fred Christ Drumpf and the Scottish Druid and Viking roots that I found. Fred Drumpf, Elizabeth Christ's son, Frederick Christ Drumpf. Scandalous Fred, see? Call him that. And I'll put up some pictures during the break. And Mary Ann MacLeod, Druid princess. Now, he married Mary Ann MacLeod of the MacLeod clan. I know. From the Isles of Lewis in Scotland. Fred C. met Mary Ann when she was vacationing in New York. They say that her father was a poor fisherman. So they say. She spoke Scottish Gaelic. Donald also spoke Gaelic, a language descended from Old Irish and the Druids. Prima Donn was raised on old Druid myths, tales and legends of the Norse kings. Now, the MacLeod clan descended from the bloodline of Olaf the Black. Olaf was a mid-13th century sea king who ruled the island of Man, part of the Hebrides. Now, basically, Olaf was a Viking king who spanned both pagan and Christianization of the Vikings. Olaf the Black was not just a Viking. He was a Scottish, native Celtic Celtic, if you will, and the last of the Norse kings. The MacLeods originally quartered the Black Galley in their arms, which was the symbol of the Old Norse kings of men in the 17th century, and they adopted instead a quartering of a man of 3 legs. Their ancestor was Leod, the son of Olaf the Black. Yeah, and they put it right on their shield. So 2 guys with 3 legs, or 1 guy with 3 legs. It's a very bizarre looking thing. Anyway, now the name of this symbol is called the trisekelon. It means an object with 3 legs, because you're going to just have a name for that. We have the first signs here, though, of the symbol in prehistoric times, when some excavations were done in Asia, and a vase from 12th century BC was discovered where warriors had the symbol of the trisekelon painted on his shield, and a mysterious all-black king. Now, to be objective, nobody has yet found where this symbol came from, or why, or who even does this. English ships were up here towards Canada, just waiting. So they were at least cahooting. You know what I mean? So the Sons of Saint Tammany were formally organized in New York City, May 12th, 1789. For the next 35 years after the Boston Tea Party, each of the original Sons of Liberty and Sons of Saint Tammany groups went their own way. 1813, at the historic Fort Mifflin near Philadelphia, several of these groups came together, formed one organization known as the Society of Red Men. Yeah, they did. And by the mid-1830s, the Tammany Society had been reconstituted as the Improved Order of the Red Men. The Improved Order was modeled after an independent order of Odd Fellows, the Brotherhood of Death, and used the legend of Harem Abif of Masonic legend, also its 3rd degree. I believe it's safe to assume that the Society of Saint Tammany and the Sons of Saint Tammany of the Columbian Order is a secret Masonic order whose hidden power reached all the way up to the White House. Now, the Sons of Saint Tammany certainly had Masonic lodges. President Andrew Jackson, sorry, too dog for swearing, seems to have been a member of this lodge, which is odd considering it's named after a native man who he hated with passion. Now, a member of St. Tammany Lodge Number 1, Nashville, Tennessee. As early as 1800, it is the first lodge in Tennessee, organized 1789 under a dispensation from the Grand Lodge of North Carolina. Okay, I need to take a little break, guys. I'm going to have a little coughing fit. I'm going to get some tea. I'm going to play you some music. I will be right back. Oh, apparently I'm still playing music. Who knew? Whoops. Okay, I'm going to be right back.
Climb a mountain Walking around ain't no good. Ain't no good. I'm walking around. I love that girl, and it stung like a bee. How I love that girl, and it stung me like a bee. To know she wasn't loving me. Ain't no good, ain't no good, ain't no good. Walking around, walking around, yeah. Walking around. Down in the valley, up on the hill, I watch the sun go down and feel the thrill. Into the darkness, for what it's worth, come shake the hand that shook the earth. The world keeps taking, I keep giving. I'm just trying to make a living. When I come back home with jewels and mirth, you shake the hand that shook the earth. Come shake the hand, come shake the hand. You shake the hand that shook the earth. Under the sun, they're making records. Up in Graceland, it's chess and checkers. Nailed up on fences, stretched in the girth. Shake the hand that shook the earth. Come shake the hand, come shake the hand, come shake the hand that shook the earth. Tobacco roads, fruit of the vine, love running free all the time.
I hope you enjoyed that interlude from Daddy. My daddy. Okay, where was I? Tammany Hall. It's weird. It didn't become a disciplined political machine until it came under the direction of John Kelly. This is 1872. Now, the first 10 successive Irish-American bosses, mob bosses, Irishmen, dominated Tammany Hall. Later we will hear that natives still belonged to this, and they are later called the Red Hand. We'll get to that. Now, virtually monopolized all district leaderships, remaining in power despite the changing population of their neighborhoods. Jews, Germans were initiated into this secret Tammany society. But just like in Europe, before things went nuts, I can't say the exact date of craziness, but craziness happened. Okay, moving on. These societies, these private clubs, you've seen a lot of this primo don, the statue of Olive the Black, secret diamond, Masonic triangle signs with this guy. So what better way was there for scandalous Tracey, holding a trump card, than to marry an old pagan, or at least world pagan, Gaelic Viking and Druid princess, straight out of the ancestral land, Scotland, to cement himself and his family inside the machinery of Tammany Hall. Wouldn't you believe that it was not beyond the likes of shameless and scandalous Tracey? He's really ugly, creepy, but so is this guy, this trump card. He's ugly. You need some money to get laid looking like that. So, he has a lot of money, and there's always people willing to put out for that dollar. Shake it for a few bucks. Because you'd need to have some money to look like that. I'm sorry. I don't think I could close my eyes and do it for my country. No, I can't do it. I'm a bad girl, but apparently not that bad. Okay, Bunny Liebenbaum. Bunny. Cute. I had an Uncle Bunny, and Uncle Bunny used to wear flaming scarves. I didn't realize he was gay until later, and he was flamboyantly so, but Bunny, yeah, I'm thinking. Okay, he presided over New York Major Robert Wagner Jr.'s City Planning Commission. Mayor Wagner's administration from 1954 to 65 had been, for the most part, rockets from this Tammany Hall. 1954, Tracey was the subject of a Senate Banking and Housing and Urban Affairs Committee investigation for being involved in widespread corruption in the federal Housing and Urban Development Department. Fred C. Trump of Jamaica, New York. I didn't even know there was a Jamaica, New York. And William Talamasca, Brooklyn, address unknown, or at least unknown to me because I can't find it. Hold on. Wait a minute. Totally lost my place. Okay, these guys, according to McKenna, paid $34,000 apiece for land, which they rented to the building corporation for about $600,000. So they made a really good profit. Now they rented it for a year. Well, they charged $600,000 a year for 99 years, but they paid $34,000 for it. So should he apartment house, well, each one they built, or ever go into default, the FAH has the privilege of paying them $1,515,000 for the land. McKenna said that he was only the beginning, though. He alleged that Trump and Tomasello obtained loans of $53 million, well, more than the apartment's cost. He said that McKenna, that they had rented and collected rents of tenants of $1,700,000 before they made their first payment on the mortgage. They loaned $729,000 to affiliated corporations and still have $3 million in the bank. So you can look up Irving Whitefield HUD scandals, transactions, publication, New Brunswick, New Jersey. See, I didn't know you had a New Brunswick there either. So that's just the tip of the iceberg of this enormous amount of taxpayer money involved in Fred C's federal and state racketeering enterprise during the 40s, 50s, and the 60s. Utterly staggering stuff. But that's where they got their money. Now, of course, a great deal of money was funneled through Bunny and Brooklyn mob. During that time, 3 mafia groups in New York included the Rena family, Castellamarse clan, and Joseph Colombo family. Professi. You can look it up, both of those. As usual, Primo Don Trump, the tough-talking, aggressive, no-holds-barred, no-nonsense political candidate is beating the war drums. His plan to defeat ISIL and American enemies is all-out military force, then bomb them. It's going to be tough to do since ISIL is mostly white guys wearing gloves. That's why they're wearing gloves and they're hooded, but they have Nikes on because they're white guys. So they're American and they're British. Now, during America's Vietnam aggression, Trump was eligible for the draft. Trump avoided total military service with not 1 but 5 deferments. The final was a medical deferment for bone spurs in a foot or both feet, maybe just for the bad hair. And I don't believe he knows the difference. Chicken Hawk, Primo Don, is still not answering questions about his draft evasion. And he doesn't believe that his shit ever stinks, no matter what he has done or is about to do. The only candidate that's going to give a real support to Israel is me, says Trump. The rest of them all talk, no action. They're politicians. I've been loyal to Israel from the day I was born. My father, Fred Trump, was loyal to Israel before me. He doesn't mention any bending over or getting on his knees and opening his... Okay, moving on. Primo Don and his daddy, with Masonic Brotherhood of Death, hand over hand, skull and bones, the X-Men symbol, and the sign or the letter X has a long history of use in the ancient mystery religions, or the new Judaism, in Freemasonry, in the occult, in the Illuminati elite, and they use it to this day to symbolize key phenomena, mark significant events. The Mossad. The logo of the Mossad and the British Jewish Center is the same. So Primo Don didn't go into how or why his father had been so loyal to Israel since the day he was born, 1946. but his close personal association with Bunny may provide some answers and clues. Bunny, Orthodox, fanatical Zionist Jew, which is odd. He was president of the Brooklyn Jewish Community Center Council, Boys Club, and Brooklyn Jewish Center, and surprisingly called the BJC, and I am just going to try to not make a crude comment. I think I'm past it. Connected directly to the United Syndicate or Synagogue of America. Syndicate's probably closer. The word Zionist Congress, United Jewish Appeal, National Jewish Welfare Board, and Mossad. Big time New York real estate super tower lawyers. Bunny and his son Sandy, high priest, secret ultra-Orthodox Lubavitch movement, and the Educational Institute of Torah, the flagship of the Chabad. It owns the BJ edifice. Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to get through this without cussing. I swear I can do it. Basically, the Shabbat movement is connected with the ancient Babylonian Talmudic Pharisees, universal Noahide laws of Nimrod, and the god Baal, and the horny gods. Babylonian, Talmudic priests, the order of the sun god, the worshippers of Baal. This is why you see the symbol of the horned god and there's a sun in the middle. We've talked about this before. Now, Rabbi Finkelstein, head of the Jewish Seminary of America, 43, writing in the University of Jewish Encyclopedia, Pharisaism became Talmudism. The spirit of the ancient Pharisees survives unaltered. Oh, yes, it sure does. When the Jew studies the Talmud, he is actually repeating the arguments used in the Palestine. In other words, these guys are reborn Pharisees. Many Pharisees belong to the Jewish occult group called Cabal. Now, according to Chabad, this radical theology, non-Jew infidels must be exterminated, adding, may the name of the wicked rot, which is a curse, a very bad one, amongst them Jesus of Nazareth, so they say, which is funny because they mention him, saying we don't believe in him, but he exists, and there is no J, so we'll move on. They claim that while the Jews are the chosen people and were created in God's image, the Gentiles, who look surprisingly just like them, do not have this status and are effectively considered subhuman. And the only way they can tell is by pulling down their pants. The Chabad are allowed to exist as a powerful international force because they serve Israel in two ways. Maybe 3 or 4 ways, but 2 that I can mention. Working with the Mossad in intelligence and criminal activities, source of extremists to fuel all the Zionist crimes. Also the scheme to permanently alienate and divide and polarize the races of the people. So, we have United States, which is the bicep of power. We have England and certain European kings and kingdoms and fiefdoms that are still running this. So we can still call them the kings. We have Israel that had very specific people allowed in there, and very specific people are not allowed in there, Jewish or not. These are still the Pharisees, by their words. These are the priests. Now, they are running this stuff by curses and magic. Still running it, always ran it. Probably this is why we keep seeing interesting Jesuit connections and all that letter J. Now, investigators have found that Fred C. pocketed $4 million in the post-World War II, Brooklyn, 1949, Beach Haven apartment complex. That's a great deal of friggin' money in 1949. I'd take that money now. The Shore Haven apartment complex and the Beach Haven complex near Coney Island involved 2,700 rental units at Beach Haven. Fred C. financed a shul with 3 classmates. Shul is a Yiddish word for synagogue. An example of shul is where Jewish people go to worship. Beach Haven community consisted of young couples, and there were 350 children in the Talmud Torah. They were clandestinely using HUD and state funds to build a haven for Jewish power base in Brooklyn for Eastern European mystical Hasidic Chabad Jews. An enormous, substantial profits at taxpayers' expense. So today, Chabad is the world's largest Hasidic group, the largest Jewish religious organization. A vast member of Chabad institutes have placed the movement forefront Jewish communal life today. A spokesperson for this movement says the sect is Zionist and in support for Israel. Fred C. and Bunny secretly working along with SS Otto Albrecht, Israeli Defense Force, Mossad, newly formed CIA, because they were all working together, always have been. In the decades after, well, it took decades, took a long time to work this out, but they have the 2 most powerful things. They're patient, and they have time. Federal Housing Act finally caught up with Fred C. and Prima Donne in a major racial discrimination lawsuit. The government contended that Trump management had refused to rent or negotiate rentals because of color and race. Also charged that the company had required different rental terms and conditions because of race, and that it misrepresented to black people that apartments were not available. They're racist. They lied. A few months after the government filed suit, Trump became combative. In a press conference at New York hotel, in which he went after the Justice Department for not being friendly, he accused the Justice Department of singling out his corporation because it was big. his words, and because the government was trying to force it to rent to welfare people. Trump added that if welfare people were allowed into his apartments in certain middle-class neighborhoods, then there would be a massive fleeing from the city and a massive fleeing from the community as a whole. However, Bunny and his father ran the largest and most costly corporate welfare fraud embezzlement system in the United States history. Primo-Don is a product of that corporate welfare breadline straight out of the state and federal treasuries. Notion that prima donna Donald is a self-made millionaire is a big, fat lie. Grand illusion. Nevertheless, he got all this money because his dad ripped off people, and so did he. In defense of the Immerse racial discrimination lawsuit, the Trumps hired one of the most loathsome, controversial, despicable, perverted, wicked characters in American history to fix things. A new centurion, Ray Coe of the CIA. During the 50s and the 60s, Tammany Hall boss Carmine G. DeSapo was credited with handpicking Robert F. Wagner Jr. as the mayor of New York City and W. Averell Harriman as the governor of New York State. Pundits in Washington asserted that Tammany boss had to muscle the name to name the Democratic candidate for president. Some people got their little heads bashed in, most likely. Now, Roy Coe used to invite Carmen G. DeSapio and other Tammany Hall leaders out of the cruises to talk over secret society business, who was in, who was out, who wanted what from whom. Fred and Donald were always on the in when it came to the sons of the Tammany. Roy Coe, as an aide to Senator Joseph Reds Under the Bed McCartney, was accused in the early 50s as an associate of the post-World War II Nazi fascist underground of Hitler's general and financier Scarface, SS guy, and many of the group that brought over the same kind of things here. Now, Cohn was the initial member of Permidex, along with Clay Shaw, a corporation set up in 1958, which is suspected of being the front of an organization in the planning of John F. Kennedy's assassination. Cohn supposedly ran the Little Boys, a government white male pedophile ring for the CIA. During the 60s, Cohn was leading lawyer and fixer, manager, and procurer of Italian and Jewish mobsters like Lansky. The Cohn apparatus controlled magazines, newspaper circulation, selective of judges, and real estate rackets, and many other corruptible assets of public life which were of interest to the powerful and the greedy and the sexually deviant. He was a close mentor of David Schein. They were bitter political enemies of Robert Francis Kennedy. David Schein was one of the GM of the Schein family, owned Ambassador Hotel in LA, and when RFK was shot in its basement pantry, June 1968. He was there. Now, Cohn was the closest Jew and homosexual partner and friend of the FBI Director, J. Edgar Hoover. Now, Roy Cohn was also a friend of this new centurion, Louis Rosenthal, chairman of Schenley Industries. Now, he claimed that in the 1958, she claimed that she and her husband had went to a party in a New York hotel, and I'm sure we said this before, where they met Hoover and Kahn. And Hoover, whom Kahn introduced as Mary, was wearing a wig and a black dress and lace stockings and high heels. And apparently Mary did not rock that outfit. Now Hoover went into the bedroom, took off his skirt, and revealed a garter belt and a couple of blonde boys, one wearing rubber gloves, sitting in the room. Now, why they went in there if he did not look fabulous and got all up in his business, I don't know. Not trying to judge here, but this is the story she tells. Now, Kahn and Hoover then watched Louis Rosenthal have sex with the boys. A year later, Mrs. Rosenthal attended another party at the same hotel, and this time Hoover wore a red dress and a black feather boa, and he had one of the blonde boys, who was now dressed in leather, read to him from the Bible while the other played with him. Hoover then grabbed the Bible, tossed it down, and told the first boy to join it. Hoover, FBI, essential clog in the wheel of the New Age centurions, was primarily the boss of American crime investigative body. Hoover was raised a master mason in the 20s. Federal Lodge 1, Washington, D.C. 1955, he was coronated 33rd degree Inspector General, honorary, awarded the Scottish Rite's highest recognition, the Grand Cross of Honor, 1965. Hoover was just devoted and protected the new centurions and the secret society and the Columbian Order of Masonic Brothers. September 1969, issue of Life magazine, it was reported that Hoover punished 3 of his FBI agents in New York for cooperating with the United States District Attorney in New York in his prosecution against Roy Cohn on a number of felony charges. This is what Life has to say. During the McCartney Inquisition of the 50s, Cohn, as senator of McCartney's chief counsel, had worked closely with Nichols and the FBI in developing cases against suspected communists. Agents spent weeks screening FBI security files and contracting them in memos for Cohn during long or prolonged hearings. Through the years, Cohn's friendship with Director Hoover also developed. This was further cemented by their mutual regard for a billionaire boss of the huge distillery complex, Louis Rosenthal. Now Cohn to this day addresses Rosenthal as Commander-in-Chief, Supreme Commander. Rosenthal refers to his younger friend as Field Commander, Sergeant Major, Honey Bunny. Okay, I made that last part up. Louis Solon Rosenthal, also new centurion. the name that Hitler made up for these guys. So he was indicated as a Jewish bootlegger during Prohibition, linked to the notorious and prolific organized crime syndicates and all of the figures in United States history, especially Mayor Lansky. Most likely had been a go-between between Lansky and Hoover. Rosenthal was also New World Order Illuminati member of the Rhodes Round Table, the Council on Foreign Relations. So, in conclusion, the Donald made his pact with the devil a long time ago. He doesn't mind showing you who his father is, who his people are, and who will run this White House. Lucifer. People like Primo Don is like the number of people in this country that walk between the rainbow drops and never believe that they will get wet. People around the world are beginning to ask if we are really serious about entertaining the notion of Donald Trump running for the highest elected office of the United States, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Are you really interested in and care about the truth and justice? Or has Jade got you? Because I'm kind of thinking that Jade's got you a little bit. People are acting so stupid, like stupider than usual. And that's, you have to admit, that's pretty darn stupid. And falling in love with this guy who is a TV guy, and he lost more money. He can't own a business, he can't run a country. And so racist and so sexist. He said anyone who disagrees with him, and if you're a woman, you're a pig. Really? Well, I'm going to love you and leave you and see you next week. You've been listening to Turtle Island News with Tracey Kennedy. Bye for now, everybody.
As the story goes, ancient indigenous people stories, they originated from the lost continent of Mo. So, as the story goes, the Creator has given each group of people red, yellow, black, and white